when I first began here in Columbia 8 months ago, one of the first directives I was given was to develop a plan to address the needs in our entertainment district, some emerging threats within the entertainment district, and how we would position ourselves to address those threats and needs. We began looking at calls for service and growth in the entertainment district and planned growth in the entertainment district. An example of that would be the hub. You know, we saw literally just within a couple of months the hub opening and introducing almost 800 you know, college students to the downtown area. So in doing so, we established that we would need approximately 20 police officers to address not only the current needs in the entertainment district, but the development that was ongoing in the Vista and other areas of the entertainment districts. But in conducting that analysis, one of the glaring things that stuck out to me was that we currently had staffing shortages of about 25. We needed to hire 25 police officers on top of the proposed new 20 police officers. The city had also conducted over 50 annexations in the last 3 years, and the department had not grown with the annexations. And then there was almost $1 billion in development that was either underway or in the process of or planned in the near future. So clearly we were not positioned to grow with the city, and it was further compounded by the fact that we already had existing vacancies. So the shift really and the focus began on filling those vacancies immediately. And then what further compounded that problem was we were losing police officers. And we were losing them for a number of reasons. Some, you could argue, might have just been the turmoil that had gone on at the department or the uncertainty at my level. And that's understandable. Some of it was maybe just, you know, as we began changing the culture, some, you know, realized that this wasn't the place that they needed to be. But then what really kind of struck me was here in the last few months, we started losing very qualified, experienced, respected police officers to other area agencies because of pay. And our pay was just not competitive enough. It didn't have us positioned where we needed to be to grow our department. And it wasn't the absolute worst, but it was certainly in the lower tier. And so I began working on a proposal that I felt like would allow us to address the pay. I took that proposal to Ms. Wilson, and she worked with me to further develop a plan, and she ultimately agreed with that, and she presented that, and had discussions with the mayor and city council, and they endorsed it wholeheartedly. And I was very pleased yesterday to announce to our staff a 7% pay raise to all our sworn and civilian personnel and support staff. But also what I felt like was just as critical was professional development incentives along the way. And what I mean by that is we also proposed an additional 1.5% if you had if you've earned your associate's degree, 4.5% if you've earned a bachelor's degree, and 6.75% if you have an advanced degree. A $500 residency bonus to encourage our officers and new hires to live in the city. A hiring bonus of $500 if you're experienced or certified. Modifying the home loan program to make new employees immediately eligible for a low interest loan to live in the city, a take-home car. Recognizing that probably the most critical position we'll have in an department for the future, really, for that matter, is our field training officers. Officers that we're tapping to provide training, molding the best and brightest new police officers that we can find. We're offering a 5% pay increase on top of the other increases to the field training officers. And then also one of our most critical positions within investigation is crime scene investigators. And it requires extraordinary time and commitment to training and certifications, and then that investment that we make, we want to keep that investment intact and in place, and we're incentivizing that with 5%. So we feel like all of these incentives and the across-the-board pay increase really positions us very competitively regionally. It puts us in the upper tier of pay competitiveness, and also allows us to address our retention issues and keep our very best and brightest police officers to address or to move our department forward for the future.
Well, I think it's the plan is good for the police department, the officers, and it's also good for our community. What we've been finding is, as I move around and I go to community meetings and really become immersed with talking about issues in our residential areas and our commercial districts, is very apparent to me that there's a high level of expectation by our citizens, as it should be, for a consistent police presence. And what they really mean by that is knowing their officers, knowing that the officers that might be patrolling in their area on one day will be the same officer they'll see the next day. And that's truly what community policing, the model that we have, should be about. Where we found ourselves, because of the critical amount of vacancies that we've had, is that a lot of our officers are being moved around, juggled around. Unfortunately, we're always trying to make sure that we have enough coverage, and we do, but to do that, it really takes a toll on the officers on a daily basis, from overtime to not allowing them to have leave. Just various issues come into play when we've had as many vacancies as we've had. Fortunately, our statistics would show that our crime is down, and our policing is doing just what it should be, but the toll that it's taking on the officers is apparent as well. And so that's not a model you can sustain with the numbers that we've been working with. The reason that this plan that the chief has presented, and as we worked through it, is such a viable plan, and is that it not only addresses the financial piece for an officer who's really just trying to make sure that fiscally that he or she can support his or her family, but they also have the opportunity now to grow and professionally develop. If they want to make a career out of law enforcement at the City of Columbia, they have lots of opportunity now to become field training officers or go into crime scene investigations. They will know that if they choose to advance in their educational degrees, that they'll be rewarded for that. And all of those things are more important to the quality of life for our officers, their families, and the community, because the community will then know that these are officers that are going to be sustaining their presence in our community, and they'll know those officers and have a sense of not knowing that we're telling them they're safe by virtue of statistics, but they will perceive the safety and feel the safety. So I think that it is very key for our community at large that we implement this plan. Now, by doing that, we're able to sustain it and do it now because of the vacancies. It's an ability to do this now within budget. The police chief's budget is at half a year, is only at 30% spent because of the vacancies that he has. As we staff up, and I fully anticipate that he'll be fully staffed within the next 2 years, then we're going to have to sustain this effort and make sure that the resources are allocated towards sustaining a fully staffed police department. And going into this plan, those are the type things that we discuss with the mayor and council, and they're fully supportive of ensuring going forward that we're able to sustain this effort.
We have undertaken a very aggressive recruitment campaign. We're in the middle of professionally producing a recruitment video that we think will really showcase our department as we travel around and do job fairs, and we're able to post on our website and utilize social media. But one of the things that's important to us is that our department represents our community, so we certainly want to target the community that we serve and target the community for finding the right people that not only represent the community but have that passion, commitment, desire to be a police officer. In the times that we're policing today, which it's going to take a special person, somebody that really has that passion and desire to be a policeman. But we're going to be in our neighborhoods, at our community meetings, reach out to our faith community, utilize churches to help us identify people from the community that want to be a police officer. And I think nothing's more powerful than identifying that homegrown person that is part of your organization that identifies with the community they grew up in, and just as importantly, that people from the community identify with somebody that that's one of their own. But we don't want to sell ourselves short too. We also want to take advantage of the fact that Columbia is a wonderful place to live and raise a family. It has so much to offer. I think we can compete, much broader than regionally. I think within the southeastern United States, there's few places that offer as much or more than Columbia. So we want to utilize national publications to reach a broader audience. Publications such as Chiefs of Police magazine or the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and what you'll see locally beyond just our recruitment video, but we'll use billboards and buses and local media to really put the word out that we're looking for the very best and brightest to come work for an innovative professional organization.
Well, again, it is within the police chief's budget at this point in time, due to the vacancies, and when you don't have a fully staffed department, then that's a lot of personnel dollars that aren't being spent. So we're able to take those funds and put them towards this effort with the increase in the salary and the incentives that we've outlined. Again, as the year progresses in the next 2 years, when I anticipate the department being fully staffed, those are dollars that we'll have to generate to account for a fully staffed department. There are ways to do that. In the next 2 years, we anticipate seeing a lot more revenue coming in with all of the development that's going on in the city at this point. And certainly from a hospitality perspective, those are dollars that should also be spent on law enforcement and public safety. So there will be ways and recommendations that we will be discussing with City Council as we're anticipating and strategically planning for our budget in the next year or two. The other part of that is we're also in a compensation classification study now. And of course, it weighs on me that as a city manager or administrator, your biggest resources and assets are your employees. So not only public safety employees, but our employees across the city. It's important that I ensure there's pay equity across the city, and so that is why we're in the midst of the comp and class study. Because of the critical time we're at the police department, we had to go ahead and implement some things now from a public safety perspective. But I do anticipate after the first of the year and as we budget strategically going forward, my desire is to still work with council to make sure that we have pay equity all across the city, because all of the departments of the city help support the day-to-day of citizens and making sure that all of the development, almost $1 billion worth that we're seeing around us, is supported. I mean, we can have this wonderful development, but we also have to grow with it as a city.
It's no secret that this is a critical time for us, and I think that some would argue that having 45 vacancies, some may say is a crisis, and my takeaway from that is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to hire a brand new police officer that is geared to police with the challenges that come with being a police officer today. But as equally important is the fact that we have 15 promotable positions within the police department. So that gives us an opportunity to identify our next leaders of this department, and leaders that are going to have the vision to move our department forward. So we're not only going to be able to hire and mold the best and the brightest that we can find to be police officers here, but we're also going to identify that next group of leaders that will carry this department into the future.
Absolutely, that's such a huge part of it is marketing the plan and recruiting aggressively, so they will be able to go online to columbiasc.net and link directly from the homepage to all the information to apply to the police department. They can call our human resources department, and of course the Columbia Police Department will have a dedicated staff to help implement and work with anyone who is interested in applying.